What's up everyone, this is Cher talking, welcome back to my channel. In today's video we'll be talking about the Romancing Festival Matriarch banner. This banner brings the 4th version of Matriarch into the game alongside Leonid, Aunus and Alloces. That means that there are 4 premium styles in this banner. You have a very low chance of getting an off banner and it has been updated, so the value here is higher. And all the styles offer very different stuff, so it's gonna be good for new players and veterans alike. I'm gonna start talking about Matriarch. I know it's the most important character. The first style, Vanquish the Sinistrals, was really impactful in the game. With Peon of Victory, we can buff STR, Agility, Intelligence, and Endurance. 3 offensive status, 1 defensive one. It increases the damage about most styles save for happier users, bow users, and gun users. They were left out of the fun for a while. And this also allowed you to evade by buffing Agility so much, and sometimes debuffing the accuracy of the enemies, making cheese strategy possible. Then the second version, the title of Matriarch, was an UDX exclusive. Didn't have much to offer, but then they changed it in global. With Shining Glory we have an 8 PP attack that can heal, buff, and do stun and pierce damage on the same time. Can only be used twice, but pretty powerful and helpful in boss fights. Then we got a 3rd version, Leading the People. This one buffs different things, buffing dexterity, will, love, and charisma. Only 1 offensive status and 3 defensive ones. It restricts to bow users, to happier users, and gun users, the ones that were left out of the fun from the Vanquish the Sinistral styles. And it's very useful in Tigers the Information to decrease damage and survive against status elements, magical attacks. It's a pretty meta character, especially now that we have Leon, and it's also returning on rerun banner. And with all of this said, now we have You Are the Hero, the 4th version of Matriarch. What can she offer after so many powerful styles? There is something here. First of all, she can do lightning damage, contrary to the sun element of the older styles. She has higher STR, although lower passives, but the damage should be pretty similar to the 3rd style, Leading the People. We do have lower endurance at least, but we have passives that reduces damage, so her will is also the highest one so far, just loses a little on endurance to the 3rd style. She does have higher agility than the 3rd style, but not better than the UDX that's focused on agility. And with that, we can open the character here. We have double arrows for STR and 1 arrow for will, but the focus is on the agility in the STR. This is good because she can use it for farming with very different skill setups. And if you want to find agility, you can just use the UDX for farming and you will get higher agility. For passives, we have Conviction. On the end of a turn, she gets 1 BP. On the start of a battle, she starts with 12. This allows her to reach 20 BP on turn 3 and do some stuff with her skills, but more into that later. But first, Conviction is different than the passive that she got in the past with the 3rd style. This one gives her HP heal instead. That's the same thing with the UDX style. So we are losing in the HP to start the fight with more BP. For farming, this is better. And also for buffing, this allows her to buff more before she runs out, but you are losing the HP heal. In the second passive is called Song of Hope. When all allies are alive, they get 5% increase in damage, and damage taken reduces by 5% too. This is also found in the UDX style, as you can see it here, and it's, well, useful because it's offensive and defensive and works for the whole squad. Then the last one is called High Protect Tension. She gets an increase of 20% in damage, and when she's attacked, damage will be reduced by 30%. Whoa, that is nice. This was changed in global. Now she's tanky, and if you are using defensive strategy, it will be harder for her to die. Those that play with her know that she's weak to slash. Sometimes we need to bring Matriarch to content that the enemy will do slash damage, and sometimes they can one-shot Matriarch even when being buffed many times. So this passive will help protect her better in this type of situations. All I can see here is that they try to make her a diverse character that can work for farming and bossing without sacrificing too much, but she may not do the best damage, especially with the upcoming damage dealers. But you can forge a very strong weapon for damage and you will not feel like you're missing out too much. But don't forget that she only has 25% increase in damage and 30% plus 5% decrease in damage received. Well, for skills we have Glitter Shell. It's a 0 BP attack with similar damage to normal attacks, but it gives her Guard Up Small for 2 turns. Guard Up Small will just decrease damage by 15%, and when she does not have EP to do something, she can use this just to protect herself better, but you may already have a Guard Up user, and this will not be so useful in these times. Now for the second skill we have Beacon of Protection, a 5 VP support skill that uses 2 LP but will grant all surviving allies an evasion stance that lasts for 1 hit in 1 turn. Well, this was released in JP around the same time we were getting Final Impress that gets Imperial Shield. That's much better because this negates all type of damage for 1 turn. The only problem with this is if you are inflicted with stun, sleep, paralyze, and petrification. The different thing with the shield from Matriarch is that this one will allow you to evade even status elements. That is interesting and different, but you cannot rely on this. Sometimes a boss can attack twice or even 3 times in a turn. So you evade the first hit, but then you take full damage on the second and then in the third one. Let's talk about Ludwig here. Ludwig can just do double powerful attacks in a row in the same turn, and then you will die for the second one sometimes. So they knew that. They knew that people in Global would not want this type of shield because Global X and Press is much better. So they buff it, and it now also heals all surviving allies by medium effect. Medium effect will be at least 1.2 thousand on max level. So a fast support skill that heals everyone by 80% of their HP at least gives you an evasion shield that lasts for 1 hit in 1 turn. Now it's much better. Why it's so much better? Because the AoE heals we have in the game are very limited as well. They will use 2 LP besides Steelblade Light from Mirza, Gerard, and Leon. But the competition with this is more similar to what characters like Alkaiser does. Alkaiser has Final Crusade. In his case, he uses 3 LP for an AoE heal and gives Guard Up. So his heal is better. It will always heal 2 max everyone and gives medium Guard Up so that you will resist damage once you get healed, and he also revives. She does not revive. There's also something similar with Goddess. Goddess also has something similar. She has a fast heal as well, and in her case she cleanses all surviving allies, but she uses 4 LP. When you look on these 2 comparations, they can only use it once. It's not what happens with this version of Matriarch. She can use this 2 times. It's only 2 LP. So in this case, because of the added utility, she gets 4 BP a turn. It costs only 5. So that means that most of the time she'll have this available if you really need. You can also compare this skill to Ray of Life that can be found in Global X Undine here, or even Mariah. Ray of Life is good because it can revives. Also uses 2 LP. But now let's talk about how this can change the way we fight against bosses. The evasion stance combined with the heal is where it matters. Well, we'll still be bringing Final Impress. Let's say that you have a fight that can be cleared in 6 turns, for example. You start the fight, you don't heal on turn 1, you take damage. Then on turn 2 you use Beacon of Protection to heal the damage you received and give 1 evasion stance. Most of the time you'll still be alive. And then on turn 3 use Beacon of Protection again. You just have to survive the hits, because this one does not revive, remember? And then Final Impress on turn 3, we use the shield. And then she can use the shield again on turn 5 if you so want. We will have 5 turns where you will be protected. Of course, it's not all the time. If the damage starts very high on turn 2, on turn 3, your characters can die. But not all the time. You will be protected by 5 turns, and that is enough to kill many bosses in the game. And by the time you finish at turn 5, the next turn you're probably on overdrive, so you can wait till that to use your best attacks. And because of this strategy, you can even bring offensive formation to increase damage even further and try to nuke the boss with all of this. That's all I can say. This will be meta. And the shield by itself with only evasion would not be so interesting global, but because of the heal part allowing you to survive, it's what changes and makes it so much better. But now let's talk about the turn attack. Twin Penetrate is a 10 VP attack that deals piercing lightning damage. It's fast, that's important. It has A power. It was increased in global, it's only B power in JP. And this will allow her to stay more relevant for the future. Piercing Lightning is a very unique combination, and we do have many enemies weak to lightning, we just don't have many sources of lightning damage. Because she has Conviction, she's gonna open with Twin Penetrate if you want for farming, for example, and then on turn 2 she's just gonna use Glitter Shell. It's not gonna break her cycle because Pin of Protection is a support skill not using on auto. And then on turn 3 you have 20 BP and you can use Twin Penetrate again. When in farming story mode, this is gonna be very nice and keep her relevant for the future, where we get more row and column attackers. Getting A power AoE that can be used twice is still gonna be useful. Also, since it's a fast attack, you can use this Magia fight formation to help other attackers in the front line, and also on Amazon Raid Axe without having to be placed in the front. A very good attack for the coast. But now let's talk about inheritance, because they play a huge part into Matriarch design. Starting with UDX's Shining Glory. This one has an 8 BP coast. We know it's Piercing Sun, AoE, deals critical to Undead and Demon, heals and buffs, right? Now it can be used twice because we will have enough BP on turn 2. You can place her on the front line of an Amazon Raid Axe formation and she's gonna buff the next attackers. That means that she stays relevant for this meta as well. Other thing that she can do, if you want, she can open with Twin Penetrate and can inherit from her third style, Gleaming Way. So she keeps doing pierce damage at least, and this one is fast. So you have 3 fast attacks in a row with a powerful one starting out. Very nice cycle as well. Another inheritance if you want single target is Ritual of Wisdom. She can use this on turn 1 and on turn 3. It's strong against Undead and Demons and also gives 1 BP to the squad. Can be interesting in some situations. Now you can get some inheritance from her S style if you don't have any other version, but this one was limited as well. Piercing Slash can override the 0 BP skill. This one buffs STR, it's not bad. Then there is Acupuncture Plus. Acupuncture Plus is guarantees an STR debuff. It's not bad on her because she gets 4 BP on turns, but it's just that her older skills seems more interesting than this, and there are other users for Acupuncture Plus if you really need. But this one is good, the buffs STR by 30%. The last one is Big Wheels that you can amplify to Big Wheels Plus, and she can use that on turn 1 as well. It's very strong attack if there's only one wave, but if there's more than one wave, she doesn't have a good cycle for it. There are 2 other characters that can use Big Wheels Plus right on turn 1, and they are the Last Cordelia by inheritance of a limited style, or the Bellstern that inherits from an S style. So she's not gonna do more damage than them, but it's an alternative. If there's only one wave, it's good enough. Now, the better inheritance options are, of course, Paean of Victory with 5 EP with buff the 4 status, I already mentioned this, or Paean of Peace that buffs other 5 status with the same coast. So if you are planning to use the strategy I mentioned, well, turn 1 you use your desired buff, turn 2 you use Paean of Protection, turn 3 you use Paean of Protection again, turn 4 you use the shield from the Impress and also your desired buff, turn 5 you use the shield of Impress again, your desired buff, and then on turn 6 you use full overdrive before the enemy attacks and you probably will be done with the fight. So that is her main gameplay. This is her selling point. In my opinion, this version of Matriarch is amazing and a meta unit, but she was not meant to be your first version of Matriarch, because if you don't have anything else to do after using Paean of Protection, Twin Penetrate is not exactly made for boss fights. You will have to rely on her S free style for inheritance, that is if you already have it, or else you don't have many other options. So at least she's being rerun with her third style. The third style already offers enough. She gives you Paean of Peace to buff 4 different status, so that you can use with Leon, for example, in the Leon meta. Gleaming Way, so that she uses fast attacks 3 times in a row, and even a single target option. this is good enough. If you have her UDX style only, it's good as well, so you get her as a better farmer. Or if you have the first one, you have Paean of Victory for evasion strategies or to increase the damage potential of STR, agility, or intelligence-based styles. So she's gonna receive a triple S grade for sure, but we'll get a 9 for inheritance, being that this character is more reliant on inheritance than other versions of Matriarch. But with inheritance, she deserves a triple S grade and will be one of the highest top tier units in our tier list. Can you live without this Matriarch? Yes, you can. In my opinion, having Global X Final Impress is still more important than having this one. It's just that you can combo those two together for amazing results. And just for future insight, in JP there's yet another version of Matriarch, this one here. She works differently. They gave us something from this version that is a better sustain. She also has a passive that decreases damage. In her case is 40%, and in our case is only 30%. But this one does not do damage at all. She's very supportive only, and has a skill that just buffs and debuffs on the same time. Now let's talk about Leonid. We have 6 styles of Leonid in the game. The first, the second, the fourth, and the fifth are Platinum. The only limited is the first count of Podori, and he's not even that important. The last one, Life or Death, is the current one, and we have higher STR compared to all versions. His endurance is not that high, and he could have bigger endurance. His agility is the highest one with 113. That's nice to allow him to evade sometimes. His intelligence is the highest one, so he can import shadow attacks and act better as a debuffer. And the will is also the highest one. So just for comparation's sake, I've sorted all characters by agility in the game, and he has the highest value so far with 113%, beating out characters like Alkaiser, Boston, and Netzweiger. So this will allow him to evade if you are bringing agility buffers. Well, this version of Leonid has a focus on agility and intelligence, as you can see by bonus and arrows. If you want STR, you can just farm with this past version. It's Platinum, it's easy to find. Okay, so for passives, we have just so many things. It's complicated. First thing, when he's landing an attack, he has a 25% chance to trigger 2 things on the same time, BP to himself and BP to everyone, but including himself as well. So when this one triggers, it gets 2 BP to himself and 1 BP to everyone. 25% chance to trigger, right? But there's more to that. Now I'll switch to passive number 3, Banquet of Horrors, increasing damage by 20% at all times and 20% more when using martial arts attacks, so does not work for spells. And because of that, he takes recoil damage of 10% of his own HP on the start of each turn. Whoa, this is strange. It looks like a curse, right? He's losing HP. But no, this is meant to be and was designed around passive number 2, called Swift Rose. When he's landing an attack, it can be skill or spell, and his HP is not full, means, yeah, it's not full because he just lost 10%. Slate of Hand will be activated. What is a Slate of Hand? It's a C-power attack with Blunt and Shadow, and when the attack lands, there's a chance to debuff Dexterity. Well, his intelligence is not that bad, it can debuff most cases, and also recovers his HP by very small effect. Very small effect should be around 150 for him, so he will be losing around 170, 180 if you are on current HP cap, and regaining that back with Slate of Hand. So you don't want to heal him before he attacks. If he's on full HP, he's not going to chase. But this allows him to chase all his attacks, even AoE ones. That is a very interesting combination, alongside 40% increase in damage with martial arts attacks, and the chance to trigger BP plus to himself and all surviving allies. Because he has a chase, you have 2 chances of getting this to trigger. 25 on the first hit, 25 on the second hit. That's why Leonid is considered a BP battery. Another character that does something similar is Virgil, but Virgil does that by taking hits, while Leonid does that by attacking the enemy. So interesting and different on the same time, although in the end, all you want from them is to increase the BP of all allies. Now for skills, the first one is Turn Step, a 1 BP attack that deals AoE damage with Blunt. 7 modifier means that is exactly the same as a normal attack, but since you can level this up, it's gonna do a little more than that. But he's breaking rules here. Only 1 BP for that is amazing. Then the second one is called Fatal Rondo. For only 8 BP, he gets a triple S attack. Well, this was changed in global. In JP is only double S. I don't know how much damage we get from this, but it seems to be good. He gets 40% increase in damage. We'll chase as well, so not bad. Then we have the last attack, Rosen Waltz, 9 BP for an AoE attack with 8 power and 29 mod. This is also not bad. With only 9 BP cost, you can just also cycle AoE forever. You just leave Fatal Rondo on 9 and he's gonna forget single targets, just gonna keep using this cycle as he wants. So by itself, and the things that he offers is already good, but then he gets more by inheritance. From his last platinum style, he gets this attack called Black Pearl. This also breaks the rules. For only 3 BP, we have a double hit attack that deals both blunt and shallow damage. So you can, if you want, just increase Rosen Watts to 12, leave Fatal Rondo in 8, and then after Fatal Rondo, he's just gonna use Black Pearl and the damage will be good. And he even chases Black Pearl with Sleight of Hand. So a 3 BP attack is gonna do very good damage for itself. You can also inherit Damnation if you want from the last style. This one has lower damage potential but does have shallow damage and debuffs endurance by 30% of all targets. That's actually very good, but I don't know if you're gonna use this on boss fights, only if there's too many enemies and you are going for full physical build with the remaining characters of your squad. This enough already gives him some good options. He does have Punishing Fist, then it's interesting when used with him because it's gonna be like similar to Punishing Combo. He does Punishing Fist and then Sleight of Hand and can be used twice in a row, but that's about it. Another good inheritance comes from his first platinum style, that is Submission. Submission is gonna be amplified into Submission Plus and deals much more damage, and this one can debuff STR. His intelligence should be enough most of the time to debuff. The last thing is if you want to use him for Remembrance Battle, you can get Stun from his A style or Poison in his S style. So there's no need for his premium one unless you want Ohor, but there is Evelyn with Ohor, it's not exactly needed. So Leonid is actually pretty cheap to build, and he can do single targets, AoE, farm, can be used in boss fights, can be used as a debuffer. Pretty fun character to have, can also be used for BP battery, but I still cannot say that he's a must-have, but a very powerful unit to have in your party. I'm gonna give him a double S grade. He's gonna stay in the middle, a little close to the high, since he's just all-around attacker for many different content. Also, just additional info, there's no future version of Leonid in JP, at least so far, so you get what you have with him, and it's good enough. Now we're going to talk about Aunus. There are 4 different versions of Aunus in the game. The first one is a welfare limited one distributed in events. The second one was the first limited during a Barthélemy banner. Sinister of Fire is an UDX exclusive, and Look into the Flame Vortex, the current version, is his real form. And this one is a hybrid, although he was always about slash and hit, this one is both physical and magical. As you can see, we have 101% STR, it's a little lower than the UDX style, but the UDX style has bonuses, is more focused. His endurance is low because this one is more fragile. His dexterity is just too similar. Agility is also, but intelligence is much higher now with 110% since he can cast spells. Then will, love, and charisma don't really matter. Now, when you look on Aunus, this guy here has a focus on intelligence and will, even though he does have high STR. You will find arrows for STR in the UDX exclusive one, and even bonus, he's just more focused on doing this than the real version. But the status distribution is pretty good for a character that's hybrid, in my opinion. For passives, we have Thermosphere. When he's hit by an attack that has heat element, he will nullify the attack, even if it's an attack with double elements. If there's heat there, he will nullify. We will recover HP and increase his own intelligence. It's just absorbing and buffing himself. If the attack is direct, he will also counter attack with R/plus. R/plus is now a column attack that deals critical against flowing enemies, has double elements, slash and heat, but this is only for boss fights when you can be attacked directly. His endurance is not so high, so you're not rooting for this. Then the second passive, Prosperous Flames, increases all surviving allies' heat attacks by 10%. That's nice because he can be a good heat buffer by inheritance. And then we have Fired Up 6, increasing damage by 40%. So he gets 40% to himself, 10% heat for everyone in the squad, can counterattack, heal and absorb when attacked with heat. Now let's talk about spells. They are all based on intelligence unless you inherit stuff. I'm gonna talk about the second one, Burning Sickle. For 5 VP, we get a fast attack, exclusive in global, that hits both heat and slash for deep power and has a 10 mod. It doesn't show here, but it's 10. And after that, just triggers air slash plus. So this is a double hit attack with the same mod between the two attacks. This is actually pretty amazing. We need to talk about someone here. We have Therese. Global X version, Summer style, has rapid fire. Look on something here. For 10 BP, she does the same, but instead of column, she does for row. But look on the coast, 8, and it's not fast. So this one is actually very good for cycling. He can use it 3 times in a row. So that's gonna make him useful in the column meta when it just becomes more and more important. And it gives critical damage against flowing enemies with air slash, as it seems. With heat damage, he just has less competition. With slash, we do have Waterfall Blade now. That's gonna be super strong. Some characters can even use it 3 times in a row. But on the heat part, it's pretty good and unique for himself. Then skill number 1 is just air slash. You already talked about that. It's just the same modifier as Burning Sickle, and it's too cheap as well, only 1 BP. Now, the last spell is called Flame Barrier. For 9 BP and 1 LP, you get a fast support skill that will grant all surviving allies a heat shield that negates all types of heat damage for 3 turns. You cannot use this forever because of the LP cost, but you probably won't need more than 5 usages. And because it uses 9 BP, and lasts for 3 turns, and it's fast, you can just cast it again and keep this all times. In JP, it only lasts for 2 turns, now it's 3. And also, he gives everyone an AoE heal on the end of a turn, like Regen, that lasts for 3 turns as well. There's not many characters that can do things like this. We can talk about iToken, for example. iToken has something that triggers a heal on the end of a turn, that is Hero's War Song, that heals, buffs, loves, and cleanses. But look on the coast, 5. There is another character that we got recently as well. That is Monica. Monica does a lot of things on the same time, but she also gives the heal on the end of a turn. So it's very nice to have even more options to heal in the game, especially if you are bringing characters like Matriarch that can buff love and charisma. They are going to heal for even more. And because it's attached to something that lasts for 3 turns, it just helps you get protected against other type of attacks. Sometimes the enemy don't attack you with just heat. Then the AoE heal matters more, because if you get hit with blunt or slash or anything, getting the heal on the end of a turn will allow you to survive. Flame Barrier is amazing. There's nothing else like this. It's pretty unique. Can be very useful in the future depending on the boss fight. Against himself as well, there's a boss coming up that is Aunus, and we can use it against himself. That's gonna be amazing. Now we can talk about inheritance, and he just benefits from UDX. He can import Ablation Dance. This skill is a 10 BP fast attack with slash and heat, but also grants all surviving allies 25% increase in slash and 25% increase in heat damage. So now you get 60% if you combo that with Prosperous Flames. It's a little increase, but it can be enough to one-shot some content. Characters that work well with this: Gustav, Aldora. There is also a version of Polka. There is also Alloces. Some characters you just get double if they have slash and heat. So there is that. I don't think there's anything else that matters for inheritance, to be honest. If you want to use the physical attacks, keep using UDX Aunus. He has higher damage potential, unless you want to take advantage of Prosperous Flames. But in the end, Aunus is a support unit. He's gonna use his Flame Barrier, and even if it's not negating heat, he is healing people with his regen that lasts for 3 turns, that is exclusive to him and unique. So this is gonna be useful in some setups. Boss fights, or when you need column attacks for farming, because this one is fast, it will be very easy to place in many formations. Well, Aunus is not game changing, he's not meta, but he does work well when using sustain squads with Matriarch number 3, iToken, because iToken also buffs intelligence. They are going to work very well. So he's gonna receive a double S grade, he's gonna stay in the middle, can be pretty important, but not all the time. That's why he's a little more niche, but still a very good unit. And just extra information, there's no future version of Aunus yet in JP. It is what you get and what you can import from the current styles. And now we talk about the last one, and that is Alloces. He is a spear user that can do many different types of damage. We got his UDX style called Prove Your Worth, and now Born to Battle, the human version. He does have higher STR, as you can see, a little lower endurance, but still pretty high. The same values for the expert team. Higher agility now, and lower intelligence. He does not need intelligence anyway. He can debuff, but he's not a good debuffer. And the other status don't matter. We can click here and you see that this one has a bigger focus on agility. 97% agility for this character is extremely high. 116% STR makes him the highest STR now in the game. We can even check the comparison with other styles. Alloces has the highest STR now in the game, even beating ScherBR and Black and Rick. They have 115%. He now has 116. Now that's gonna change the world, but still. Pretty nice value for himself. So 3 status are on prime values: STR, endurance, and agility. But well, his status distribution is too similar to his UDX style. That's a very strong farmer. He can use Rock Smash 3 times in a row if you need blunt and heat, or open with Scorching Comets. Being a spear user, doing slash damage is pretty unique. But he has some broken cycles if you want to go for Pierce. But now it's changed. Let's talk about the current Alloces. Well, for passives, the first one is called Energy Region 4. This one is amazing. When he kills a target, he gets 4 BP back and recovers HP by around 700 right now in the game. And this is similar to what Bertrand does. One of the best farmers in the game, if not the best. Depending if you bring him with some specific characters, you can allow him to kill enemies every turn so that he can keep using strong attacks. There's a lot of value with this, allowing you to bring characters to train and opening slots. Now, Alloces want to do the same. The second passive, High Weak Tension, increases his damage by 20%, but also 15% more if he is landing a weak attack. The enemy has to have minus 35 for that type for it to trigger weak. Then there is Hyper Robust Tension, increasing damage at all times by 20%, and if he's on full HP, it's gonna do 15% more. That's why he heals when he kills. He wants to stay on full HP. So if everything is working, you get 70% increasing damage. That's high, right? Pretty high. Because the character has already 116% STR, it's gonna do very good damage. Well, let's talk about his skills. I'll start with the second one. Grunt Trample is an 8 BP AoE attack that deals Pierce and Blunt with P damage and 21 modifier. This attack here is actually pretty similar to something that we've seen before in Forneus. Forneus can inherit from his S style, that's free but limited. Spinning Trample. It's just one more mod, so it increases from C to B because that is the start of the B damage. So we use this in events, and it's actually super strong when we can use it 2 times in a row with the human version. So you inherit and leave this with 8, so it replaces Hydro Cyclone, and it's amazing. Just strong because it covers 2 physical types. Now Alloces wants to do the same. If he kills a target, he can use Grunt Trample on turn 2, and if he kills again, he can use that on turn 3 as well. But not anymore. After that he stops because he's gonna require more BP than he can actually get. But he can just keep using now Piercing Impact, because this one is a 3 BP attack with lower damage, but still keeps the Pierce and Blunt rotation. So yeah, pretty nice, but I have to say that he's gonna need teams built around him. Like, if Grunt Trample is not enough to kill by itself, you're gonna need someone in the back to just do a fast attack so that it attacks before and allow him to kill. A good character to do that is Matriarch. The Matriarch number 3 and the current one that has fast attacks and pierce damage will help him a lot. There are other options for Blunt as well, but you're gonna have to think in order to just get the BP back to keep doing damage. And then we have the third attack, that's Scorching Hell. For 8 BP, we get a triple S attack with Pierce and Heat. And this time, he wants to kill targets with single target attack. It's gonna be harder because when we are farming, there's actually usually 2 or more enemies. But if there is an event with only 1 enemy on wave 1 and 1 enemy on wave 2, and he can kill, he's just gonna use Scorching Hell again. Well, he does not really need inheritance, to be honest, but there is some stuff that he can use, like Rock Smash. If he wants to attack blunt weak enemies, he can use Rock Smash and he will just keep getting BP back. That will be enough and he can keep using it forever. Scorching Comets, it's not useful on turn 1 by him, so it's not something good. One interesting thing that you can do by changing the BP cycle is, let's say that you have an event where the first wave has many enemies and then the second wave has only 1 boss. If you increase Grunt Trample to 9 and you kill at least 1 target on wave 1, then on wave 2 you're gonna use Scorching Hell, in that if there is a boss on the second wave, this is gonna be a very good cycle. And then you can actually do reverse inheritance and get his attacks like Grunt Trample if you want into his best UDX style and use it twice in a row. The same way you can just import Scorching Hell into his UDX style and guarantee that he will use it twice, because sometimes he will not kill the enemies, he can use it twice in a row at least, and then if you don't have, it's good by itself. So don't worry, if you don't have the first UDX Alloces, use this one, it's gonna operate well, similar to Bertrand. Sometimes you can even use him better. So this guy is not a solo farmer, he needs team help, but when working as intended, will be super strong. People still use him on JP up to this day, as I heard, and with a combination of high status, high passives, just allows him to stay in a double S tier and a high placement in the tier list. But is he a must-have? Well, not entirely. I must say that Bertrand is still a better option because he can combo better with different units, but Alloces is pretty powerful. If you don't have that many gens, it's okay to skip, but if you can get him, it will prove to be worth. So back to the banner image, is this banner worth summoning for? In my opinion, yes, it's gonna receive a gold award. We have 4 good units here, and only 20% chance of getting an off banner, and we have updated off banner. I know it's hard to choose characters that you wanna summon, since we are getting plenty of good styles recently, but Matriarch is a very good style, because if you have at least 1 version of her, you just get more of this. And that strategy I talked about will work for many bosses. Then you have Alloces, a character that is a premium farmer, similar to Bertrand, is gonna appear in many farming setups from now on. Aunus has heat negation, also heals the party, something that no one can do like himself, and Leonid covers 2 fronts while also being a BP battery. There's no bad unit here, and that's why I gave a gold award. I'll be pulling on this banner because I want to play with these new strategies. So in order of reference, Matriarch is the first one. Then the second is probably Alloces because we farm a lot in this game. Better farmers are good, even though some people don't like them. I like to have stable strategies when farming. Then Leonid and Aunus have a tie. I just like them by the same way. Just that maybe Aunus will be a little more niche, while Leonid can use it in too many content, almost like Alloces. So maybe there's a little of a preference for him. But even after saying all of this, if you are a new player, it may be better for you to summon on the rerun banner that has a different version of Matriarch with Piano Feast. That skill is very good for boss fights. If you don't care about extremely hard content, you can just summon here instead. Since these characters are recent, they have higher damage output. But if you are a veteran, I have to say that although these units are very good, they are not unskippable. Wait till you see the next banner, if there is something good, if there is conquest so we can farm gems, and then you should decide. But that is my opinion. What is yours? Will you summon? Please say here in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe if you haven't. And if you want to support the channel, there are links in the description of the video. Don't forget to join our Discord server where we talk about SaGa and other RPGs, and I hope to see you soon in the next video. Bye.